I've been making videos in my workshop for about 3 years, and there's a couple of things that I've struggled with along the way. The first one is lighting. There are several ways to handle lighting. The most popular is to use freestanding light stands, or you could do what I did here, and that's install more lights in your ceiling. It's also very helpful to paint your walls a light color. But the much harder one to fix is audio. Now in the beginning, I didn't care too much about it. I just recorded straight from the camera, worked with what I had. I figured that if you could understand clearly what I was saying, that would be fine. Now, as I've gotten more experience, I wanted to make the audio better. So I bought several different types and kinds of microphones to try to help with that. I haven't had a whole lot of luck. Now I switched to this. Now this is kind of a hybrid between two, and it's working really well. But as you can see, I'm not using it today because I want to experiment with some simple acoustic treatment inside my workshop. So what brings this about is that when I put my tool board in and copies above, I noticed that there was a slight improvement in the sound quality inside the workshop here. And you'll find that in general, the more stuff you have in, the less reverb you'll have. And reverb is the thing that you want to try to tame. The key component for the acoustic treatment is this pink fiberglass that I've got here. This is R20. And I've taken it and I've laid it around the room. And you can probably hear there's a big difference already just with the material brought in the room and laid in different places. Now you can move them around to where you think they should go and where they will sound best. These will be on the ceiling, so putting them on the floor will give you a rough approximation of what they'll do. I have 5 pieces of insulation because I want to make 5 units that will mount on the ceiling. And to get them up there on the ceiling and have it look half decent, I've made these simple frames out of OSB. They've got solid wood blocking in the corners here to hold them together and brackets on them to mount them up on the ceiling and to mount the cover on, which I'll bring in next. Alright, so here's the cover. It's just a simple frame that I made out of OSB again and covered with a drop cloth. This is a canvas drop cloth that I bought. And I cut the pieces to fit, stretched it over, glued it on. Now I'm not going to show how I made these. They're relatively simple, and I cover them in detail on my website in the linked article. I'm going to be attaching each one of these panels to the ceiling with 4 2-inch screws that are driven into plastic anchors that are screwed in. Alright, so the first one I'm going to be putting up here is kind of in the corner. To mark the locations for the anchors, I'm going to drive the screw part of the way through so it's sticking up. I can push the panel up in place, mark the ceiling, put the anchor in, and then put the panel back up. So I've got the insulation here. I'm just going to stick it up inside the frame. Good idea to wear a dust mask when you're doing this. Then I can take the panel and put that up. And slid into the bracket on the back and push it up in place and screw it in with a couple of drywall screws. And the rest of the panels go on in the same way in the locations that I selected throughout the room. Okay, well, they're all installed. I can't say that it made a huge difference, but it did make a small difference, especially in different parts of the workshop. So even though the effect wasn't as dramatic as I thought it would be, it's certainly noticeable. And at the very least, it's a little bit more insulation during the winter months on the ceiling. So I should say that if I had made more and added more of these panels, it would have cut down on the reverb quite a bit more. Also, adding them to open walls like this would make a big difference too, but wall space in a workshop is valuable real estate and you really want to put cabinets and storage there. I will be doing more in here to try to cut down on the echo, and that will be to put more things on the walls, including something that goes between my tool board and the router bit cabinet, and another unit that goes above my chop saw station to store some of the things that I have put up on top of that. Well, I hope that was informative and enjoyable. I know that this is not a situation that a lot of people are going to come across. A lot of smaller shops won't have this problem. Larger ones, yes, but it depends on what you have in there. If you have a lot of stuff in there, then it's really going to cut down on the echo. But it is a viable option, and it's also very cheap if you want to do it either in the workshop or some other place. Anyway, I hope you liked it, and thanks for watching.